Could the face of the franchise really be gone before the next kickoff? The silence from the new regime is deafening, and the writing on the wall is starting to look like a permanent exit. We are officially on high alert in Miami, and the quarterback room is about to look completely unrecognizable. Before we break down this massive shakeup, do me a huge favor. Hit that like button, share this with every fan you know, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a beat of this off-season madness. Think about this. When was the last time you saw a new head coach and a GM take over a team and completely refuse to even say their starting quarterback's name? That is exactly what is happening in Miami right now. Head coach Jeff Hafley recently sat down for an interview, and while his passion for the game is absolutely infectious, this is a guy who once coached an entire year for just $2,500 just because he loves the grind. It was what he didn't say that should have everyone's heart racing. The energy Hafley brings to the table is incredible. You can tell he's a football lifer, a guy who eats, sleeps, and breathes the gridiron. When he speaks, you feel that fire. It's refreshing to know that the organization is led by someone who cares this much. He told stories about those early days at WPI, grinding for practically nothing, proving that his motivation isn't a paycheck, it's the game itself. But as much as we love that grit, we have to talk about the elephant in the room. When the conversation turned to the quarterback plan, things got very real, very fast. Hafley didn't give us a fluff answer. He didn't offer a vote of confidence. Instead, he admitted that conversations have already happened behind closed doors. He admitted there is a plan in place because, in his words, this league runs through that position. But notice the trend. Since Hafley and the new front office led by the general manager took over, they haven't mentioned the current starter, Tua Tagovailoa, by name even once. Not in press conferences, not in sit-downs, and not even in passing. It's like he's already been erased from the building. When you have top-tier insiders reporting that the era is over, and the leaders of the team won't even acknowledge the incumbent starter, the message is clear. A trade or a release is not just a theory. It is an inevitability. It feels like we are witnessing the final days of a massive chapter in South Florida football history, and the transition is going to be far more aggressive than anyone anticipated. Question of the day. This is the big one, fans. If the team moves on, should they cut the current starter before June 1st to eat the cap hit now and clear the books for 2027, or wait until after June 1st to save $32 million for this season? Type B for before or A for after in the comments below. Let's dive deep into those numbers, because the financial gymnastics here are wild. If the team moves on before June 1st, they take a massive $73 million hit to the cap. It's painful. It's ugly. It's the kind of number that makes a front office wince. But there's a silver lining that might be worth the sting. Taking that hit now would mean that by 2027, this team would have a projected $130 million in cap space. Can you imagine that? A completely clean slate with enough money to sign every blue-chip free agent on the market and build a literal powerhouse. However, if they wait until after June 1st, they save about $32 million in immediate cash for the 2026 season. This would allow them to maybe stay competitive, sign a few more veteran pieces, and keep the ship upright for another year. But it pushes that dead money down the road. Given that a star wide receiver like Tyreek Hill, who has a massive $52 million cap hit, is also likely on the way out under this new regime, we are looking at a total house cleaning. This isn't just turning the page. They are burning the book and starting a brand new library. The reality of the NFL is that you can't win without a plan at the most important position on the field. Hafley knows this. The GM knows this. And they aren't going into this blind. They are looking at the roster and seeing a negative $30 million cap situation. While that sounds catastrophic, it's actually not the worst in the league. Teams like the Kansas City Chiefs are facing even deeper holes. But the moves made over the next 60 days will define the next 5 years of this franchise. If they cut both their starting QB and their star receiver post-June 1st, they basically break even. They clear the decks and give themselves a chance to breathe. This is a high-stakes game of poker, and the Dolphins are playing with a very aggressive hand. So, what does the actual depth chart look like when the dust settles? Right now, we've got a young prospect in Quinn Ewers and a developmental arm in Cam Miller, but the vision Hafley alluded to is much broader. My projection: Miami heads into training camp with 4 arms. They'll likely keep the young guys, but expect a veteran addition through free agency or a trade, plus another rookie from the upcoming draft. They are looking for a room that is competitive from top to bottom. No more handed-out starting jobs. No more safety nets. They want guys who are going to push each other every single day in the heat of the Florida sun. When you look at the veteran market, names like Malik Willis are at the top of the list. Why? Because the connections are there. The front office knows him. Hafley knows him. He showed flashes of real talent late last season in Green Bay, specifically in those high-pressure games against the Bears and Ravens. He's got the mobility and the arm strength that fits a modern NFL offense. Then there's the bridge gap option, like Mitchell Trubisky. Say what you want about his past, but he looked solid in Week 18 against the Jets. He's a veteran who understands the speed of the game and could hold down the fort for a year while a rookie develops. But if I'm being honest, the trade market is where the real upside is. Why sign a veteran retread when you could trade a late-round pick for someone with high-end tools like Anthony Richardson, Mac Jones, Sam Howell, or Jake Browning? These guys have the physical traits that a coach like Hafley can actually work with. They have unlocked potential that a change of scenery could finally trigger. But wait, there's more. The draft is where this gets really spicy. We know the top guys like Fernando Mendoza are likely out of reach. The cost to trade up to the #1 spot would be astronomical and, frankly, probably a bad move for a team needing this much depth. But Miami is sitting on 5 picks inside the top 90 for 2026. That is massive ammunition. They can move up, move back, or just sit tight and take the best player available. Keep your eyes on names like Drew Aller from Penn State. He's a mountain of a man at 6 feet 6 inches with arguably the strongest arm in the entire draft class. He has some mechanical issues, sure, but if you believe in your coaching staff and your developmental system, you take the flyer on him in the middle rounds. You can't coach that kind of size and raw power. Then you have the freak athletes, like Talon Green. He's been described as Anthony Richardson light. If the Dolphins don't want to trade for the actual Richardson, they could grab Green in the 6th round and have a project player with a ceiling that touches the clouds. Or look at Jalen Daniels, a 5-year starter who has seen everything a defense can throw at him. He was absolutely lighting it up in the Collegiate Showcase Bowls recently, and his stock is rising fast. But if you spend any time on social media, you know there is one name that every fan is screaming for: Sawyer Robertson. He's become the it player for the fan base. He's got the arm talent, the ideal size, and that it factor that makes people believe. He's the kind of intriguing day 3 prospect that could turn into a franchise pillar if the stars align. Is it a gamble? Absolutely. But for the first time in a long time, it feels like there is a unified, transparent vision in the building. Hafley and the front office aren't hiding. They know the league is a quarterback-driven business, and they are preparing to take a massive swing to get it right. They want competition. They want hunger. They want guys who love the game as much as the coach who started his career making $2,500 a year. That kind of culture shift is exactly what changes a franchise from a perennial, almost, to a perennial contender. Think about the impact this has on the rest of the roster. When you change the leader of the offense, the entire chemistry shifts. The offensive line has to learn a new cadence. The receivers have to adjust to new ball placement. It's a total reset. But maybe that's exactly what this team needs. The previous era had its moments, but it never quite reached the summit. By moving on now, the Dolphins are signaling to the rest of the league that they are no longer content with just being good enough. They want greatness, and they are willing to endure the short-term pain of a massive cap hit and a roster overhaul to get there. Does this radical rebuild make you nervous, or is it exactly the rip-the-Band-Aid off moment this franchise has needed for a decade? We are heading into a historic offseason where the roster could look 50% different by the time training camp rolls around. The stars are exiting, the cap is being reset, and the draft board is wide open. The excitement in the air is palpable. Even with the uncertainty, there's a sense of hope that hasn't been here in a long time. It's the hope that comes with a fresh start and a clear direction. Trust the vision, or at least trust that the people in charge finally have one. We are going to be right here covering every single transaction, every rumor, and every breaking update as the new-look Miami Dolphins take shape. We are on the 0 to 2,000 subscribers, and we want you to be part of the family as we witness this transformation together. Every like, every comment, and every subscription helps us bring you the best coverage of the team we all love. The next few months are going to be a roller coaster. Between free agency, the trade deadline, and the draft, the news is going to come fast and furious. Will they take the big swing on a trade? Will they play it safe with a veteran? Or will they find a diamond in the rough on day 3 of the draft? Only time will tell, but one thing is for certain. The Miami Dolphins are the most interesting team in the NFL right now. Stay tuned, stay loud, and as always, let's see where this ride takes us. We'll be back later with another update, just like we always do. Make sure those notifications are turned on so you're the first to know when the news drops.